I had the amazing opportunity to talk to psychotherapist Miss Nettie Jones. She is the author of the book, The Girlfriend's Therapist. Not only is she an author, she's an advocate and she is a speaker, and she has been in the mental health field for over 30 years. Well, her August newsletter was about toxic relationships. And so we had a conversation about toxic relationships. I hope you'll watch. Hi, Nettie.
Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
I am so good. I'm so glad that you took time to come on my blog, Noteworthy Chatter, and just talk about things that matter.
Yes, I am so excited to be here and have this conversation with you.
Good. I wanted to, we're going to delve right into it, of course. And you're going to tell us about your book. That's what I want you to do first. I want you to tell us about your book and tell us a little bit about how that's going and what's that about.
So, yes, thank you, Michelle. This is the Girlfriend's Therapist Handbook, Owning Your Truth, Transforming Your Life. And it is, let me tell you, it is a labor of love. It took me long enough to write it. But one of the reasons I wrote this book is I love to read. And also, I'm also often referring to my clients to go and read a book. We call that bibliotherapy in this world that I live in at work. And so it's a tool where you can go and get some additional information. Those things that kind of resonate with you, you can take, you can use them. Those things that don't, you kind of keep moving. And so I thought, okay, I'm sending people to go get this book and that book. Why not write my own book? So this book was really inspired by my clients. And I call it, Michelle, I call it a working book. It's a
Okay.
working book, and it is really about the relationship you have with yourself, which is, of course, the most important relationship, right? And it's
Right.
nurturing her, it's digging a little bit deeper, getting to know the good, the bad, the not so good, or some people might say the good, bad, and the ugly. But yeah, that's what it is. It's a working book, and I encourage every woman to have a copy in
Of
her
course.
office, on her coffee table, and on her nightstand. That's right. Got to get the book. Yes, yes. Oh, and Michelle, also, let me tell you, this too is encouraged. I call these the check in conversation card deck. So, a big part of working with my clients, because 95% of who I see as a psychotherapist in practice are women, right? And I'm always talking about, what is it that you desire? What is it? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? And they're like, I don't even know where to start, right?
Hmm.
So I came up with these cards. And these cards are 30 cards. And so you pull a card every day. Like this one says, what are my thoughts that I most focus on? And again, you know what it does? It checks you in with you because we're always, usually, not always, but most times, we're the last person we think about. So, anyway, that's my check in conversation card deck. And so, but it's all about self love. It's all about women getting to have a more intimate relationship with themselves. Yes, thank you for asking.
Thank you. I'm so glad because I know that I've read the book, so I know that it is very powerful. And also working with you with other aspects of the book, different parts, has been really good too. And I've been learning so much. But today I kind of want to talk about toxic relationships because I know that was your topic for August. So, can you tell me, like, for our younger viewers, because I know you said that many of your viewers are women, and when I think about women, I think about girls. So, what are some common warning signs that they can look at to determine whether or not they're in a toxic relationship?
That's a great question, especially for that younger generation. So for them, the words that come to mind for me are control, manipulation. Let me say a little bit more about control and manipulation. It can often look like flattery, concern. I'm just checking in, making sure you're okay. But really, these are really early warning signs that this is unhealthy. If that person wants to know your whereabouts, when you leave, when you arrive, who you're with, and then also when they make really strong suggestions or they tell you what you can and cannot wear. Say, for instance, you like makeup because it's an accessory, you're comfortable in that. Then they say they don't want you to wear makeup, or maybe they want you and you're not comfortable. Maybe it's your hairstyle. Um, Also, it's if a person is verbally abusive or aggressive, right? Saying words that make you uncomfortable. Now, other people may feel comfortable with the words, but if it makes you feel uncomfortable, asking you to do things that you normally would not do or engage in. So these are just little small things. They're not small, but they're big. But those are some of the things that our younger young women can start to kind of hone in on as something that makes them kind of pause or raise their eyebrows.
Yeah, I remember I was in a relationship and the guy wanted to always know if I had on makeup and he would rub my face, and I was young. And when you're young, sometimes you think, oh, he's just so concerned and, or he's calling you every minute and he's just jealous and they think it's cute and it turns into something very toxic. And I've seen that being a high school leader, a high school
Yeah.
teacher, a high school counselor. um, have just seen girls kind of dip into those toxic relationships thinking that it's love.
Yes, absolutely. And, I do believe in natural beauty, but I also believe in if you'd like to enhance it. And what's really important for our young women, young girls to understand is their comfortability, in their skin. And if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, what is it that you want to do? What do you want to change? And the other part is, why would you want to change that, right? And so you're absolutely right, and that comes with insecurities. And unfortunately, I think in those developmental years, how are our young women or young girls seeing healthy relationships? You know, Healthy relationships, more importantly, with themselves. And so when we talk about, middle school and high school young girls, how they feel about themselves, how they view relationships. I mean, really, it's kind of family, social media, I want to say movies and TVs, but a lot of young adults or young teen adolescents, they don't watch a lot of TV,
They
but
don't.
they definitely TikTok, YouTube, social media, those kind of things. And so, or I don't even know if they do rap videos or videos and music videos anymore, but for the most part, I think seeing what's healthy. And so having programs that really support young girls and show them what healthy relationships look like with women who have healthy relationships. I think we know a little bit about that. But also mentoring and showing them and talking with them. And sometimes they don't get that at home,
Yeah.
so. And not because moms are not good moms, but sometimes moms aren't available, emotionally available, physically available, or they struggle with themselves. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so how does it look like is accepting a toxic relationship, or another word that's being thrown around a lot is narcissist.
Mm.
Accepting a toxic relationship or accepting abuse in a relationship, what does that have to do with maybe your childhood? Does it have anything to do with childhood?
Well, yeah, it could. It very
Hmm.
well could. It very well could. So when we start talking about narcissism, so then we have to kind of, clinically speaking, we've got to move that up into the adulthood, right? Because the narcissist can only be diagnosed after a certain age. That falls into what we call those personality disorders. But if it's during adolescent years, then we put that under like, oppositional defiant disorders. And so one of the things when we look at the personality disorders, and that's where narcissism kind of goes under, these disorders, um, one of the primary things is that they do not abide by rules. Rules don't
Okay.
matter. They don't count for me,
Okay.
right? And so they defy whatever the rules are, right? And they're always correct. And so When we see teenagers, those are the ones who don't follow the rules. They go against the grain, and oftentimes are defined as, aggressive or whatever. But getting back to toxicity, getting back to narcissism, which could be one of the words that come up when you say a toxic relationship, which falls, then you've got codependency, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, control and insecurities, right? And so all of these things kind of fall into play. And I did an article on a newsletter that I get out every month. And one of the things is, are you in a relationship with a narcissist? And let me tell you, I talk to women every day, and I say there are a lot of women who are in relationships that they define their partner as a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
And so those traits and characteristics are, they push the button, they gaslight. You're even if they are physically or verbally aggressive, it's only because you started it or you did something that person would do. They're very argumentative. They find fault in most things that you do. They will build you up but tear you down quickly. And so that is a whole different ball game. And so, does that mean something happened in your childhood? It could. I think that when we find ourselves in unhealthy relationships or toxic relationships, I think it's multifactorial. I think there are many components that go in there. If you've never seen a healthy relationship, then how do you know what it looks like a healthy relationship? If no one has ever paid attention to you, but now this person is always there, they're always paying attention to you. They tell you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. That for a person may feel like this is no one's ever seen me or paid that much attention to me. And so it is when they get into situations where they're like, oh, wait, this is not good. And sometimes, Michelle, unfortunately, this is months and years into these relationships,
Yeah,
you
years.
know.
You used a word that I would love for you to give context to and
Yeah.
explain, and that's the word gaslighting. What does that mean? Because you hear it like it's one of those words now, right? So
Yeah.
what is gaslighting?
Gaslighting is something, it's a manipulation. It is something that is done to manipulate a story, a situation, an incident where you're at fault or it's because of you. Or gaslighting could be something like, you know, uh, I would have, I would have done that if you hadn't done this. Or they're telling you that you are doing something that you're not, accusing you of something that's not true. The intention is to put the focus on you, and with the intention of making you feel bad about it and to get the focus off of them. And the saying that hurt people,
Hmm.
you know. But yeah, this is really interesting because a person who's good at manipulating or gaslighting will have people thinking that there's something wrong with them.
Got it. Yeah.
So if you're really
I'm
good
glad
at
that you
that,
explained that. I'm really glad that you explained it because I hear the term a lot, and especially from younger, young ladies, and I just want to make sure that they understand what it is. How can a young lady or a woman set effective boundaries? How do you set boundaries with people when you see this relationship
hmm
isn't going well?
yeah.
What do you do?
So you know what, Michelle, this is what I find is a lot of people think that boundaries is something that someone else does. Boundaries is what you do. And so I often tell to my daughters, boundaries are for you and boundaries protect you. So, number one, you have to find out what boundary do I need to set for myself. And then the other part is how do I exercise that boundary, right? And so I think the awareness of what a boundary is, and then deciding, for instance, I'm gonna make this real simple. Uh, I don't take calls after 11 o'clock because I got to get up and go to class in the morning with a college student or high school, you know. But then you call me every night at 12, 12:30, and I pick up.
Yeah.
Or you text me and I respond back. Okay. So now you're like, okay, this person's not respecting my boundaries. I've asked them not to do this. No, no, no. You're not respecting your boundary because you reply, because you pick up. So the boundary is I don't take the calls after a certain time. So when the call comes in, you set the boundary by not answering or responding. Now, that person may continue to do that, but over time, then guess what? If they need to talk to you or want to talk to you, then they know they need to call you before that time. That means you've set the boundary and you've exercised it.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, young ladies, if you're listening to this, if that man pushes you one time or is aggressive verbally to you one time, if your boundary is no one will talk to me that way, okay, then don't give him an opportunity to do it again. So what does that mean, Natty? Well, that means I don't talk to him, don't see him again. I don't interact, I don't deal with him. That is setting a boundary. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens is, okay, it happened one time, don't let it happen again.
Yeah.
Well, then you're not setting boundaries. So the boundaries are for you to set, and you've got to identify what those boundaries are. And unfortunately, sometimes, Michelle, we don't know. I say unfortunately, but unfortunately, we learn sometimes through experience that, this is a boundary. And this
Yeah.
is a boundary that I have to set for myself moving forward, and no one can cross it.
Yeah.
But it's not left up to them, it's left up to you. Yes.
It's up to you. That's good. So, if a young girl is listening or a young lady, young woman is listening right now, and they don't know whether this is a relationship that's toxic or is something they should work out, because all relationships have problems. Everything can't be toxic, right? How do you know when to work on a relationship to fight through it?
So you know what? And someone may challenge me on this, but when I ask a young lady or a woman, is this a healthy relationship? If they pause too long, the answer is it's not. And deep down inside, we know this is not good. But this is what it is. We keep hoping for this ideal of what it could be instead of what it really is. If you are in a relationship and you feel bad most of the time, it's really about what's going on with you. And let me tell you why. Because if you continue to go back to the same space and the same space makes you feel bad, you got to make some decisions of why do I keep going to the same space? Because we can't control the other person, right? But what we can do is control ourselves. And so if when I talk to this person, it starts off fine, but inevitably we end up in this argument, we end up in this space where I feel bad or he disrespects me or he doesn't care about me. If those are the things you're saying, or for same-sex relationships, she doesn't, right? She doesn't care, she doesn't love me, she doesn't all of these things. When you start all of these complaints or concerns, take stock in that. This is not healthy. Love does not hurt.
I'm so glad you said that because I remember that was one of the best lessons that my mom taught me. She said the exact same thing, and I can remember it so vividly. We were driving up 610 in Houston, and she said to me, she said, "Love does not hurt." And that was a lesson that I carried with me. And speaking of that, how can friends and family support a person who they think that may be in an abusive relationship? And how can, because sometimes you're like, well, I didn't know, I didn't want to get
Mhm.
involved. How can friends and family support someone?
Well, you know what? The good part is if that person is in a position to support them, that's good. That means that they're aware. Because a lot of women or young girls who are in abusive relationships are isolated and they don't share because, and then they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed, they don't share, and then they want to, they're not ready to leave the relationship, so they don't want to put a negative light on their partner. And so now, if you're in the position where now you know or you suspect that someone you love is in an abusive relationship, I think you come from the space of I love you and I want to support you. And this is the deal. Ask that person, well, how does that, make you feel? What are your thoughts about that? Well, what do you want to do? Do you think that that's good for you? How long do you think that this is going to be okay before it changes? You know, then also, how can I support you? You know, that's a start because what happens oftentimes, we will go in and because we're, hey, look, no, you need to leave this person. This person's, all of these things. And that person may not be ready to do that. But I do believe that if it's physical, sometimes have that person look at themselves and say, now, what do we need to do? What do you need to do? This is not good. This is not safe. Do you want me to help you sit here while you make the police report? Do you want me to take you to the police station? See, that's how you support a person. And then you can say, now, as a therapist, I tell people all the time, I don't tell you to stay in a relationship. I don't tell you to leave. But when we're talking about physical abuse, when we're talking about now you're at risk for harm, I have a duty to say, we got to come up with a plan to get you to a safe space. And that's where I say, you may have to remove yourself from this relationship, right? And so I think being a listener, providing resources and support, right? But I do believe one of the worst things we can do is bash the other person. I think what's important is to focus on that woman who's dealing with that. And, Michelle, it's hard when you see the writing on the wall and you see that person continue in that relationship. You see their health decline. You see them, lose relationships. And this is also, you're asking about signs for that young lady. And then also for older women, when you start to isolate yourself, where people who are important in your life no longer have, you can't create the space for them. This person, you spent all your time with this person, like you said, that's kind of like that love, or, whatever. And then love bombing. All of those things are signs of unhealthy or toxic relationships.
Now you said another key word. I know I'm almost finished, Nettie, but love bombing. How does love bombing look, and how do you know? You might, have met the man of your dreams. How do you know it's love bombing?
Okay, so no, people probably want, women are going to like my answer. When you feel way too good, too soon, too fast.
Okay. Say that
So
again. Say
when
that
you feel
again.
way too good, when you feel, I don't know what I said, when you feel good, too fast.
Mm-hmm. Too
You
soon
know,
and too
too
fast.
soon and too fast. You just met this person, and this is the deal. I'm sorry, but if I just met you, how can I feel like I've known you all my life? I just, I know what you told me. I know what I've created based on what you told me, but I don't know you,
Okay.
right? And
Right.
so I share with women, pump your brakes, take your time, get to know a person. And this is the deal, don't be so accessible, don't be so available, and don't share everything. And if somebody's sharing way too much with you, that's a sign. If somebody's talking about their previous relationship, women don't like that. That's a sign. If you talking about your ex, that's a problem. If you're going out on a date, right, and you're with a guy and he's divorced and he's talking about his ex-wife, that's like he brings her to dinner.
Yeah.
And so I think what happens is we, because we are such good listeners at times. You know, oh, his wife was not kind. You know, um, she was. You don't know her, but
Yeah.
now you've taken it in. But why are we talking about her? First of all, why are we not talking about me? Why are you not asking me questions about me? Why aren't you telling me more about you? So those are, subtle, but they are really, really important. And women don't like that when I say, sounds like he need a therapist and not a girlfriend, or, that's not what
Yeah.
you go out for. So a lot of times I think people come in with unresolved, um, you know, emotions and feelings about previous relationships. And so I
Mhm.
just always want to caution women that that is not why you're in their life, to help them, come to closure, help them resolve those things. When you recognize that, I say keep walking, keep
Good.
moving.
That's good stuff. So we talked about gaslighting, we talked about love bombing, narcissism, toxicity. Those are the things that we hear a lot about relationships. Is it anything else, Nettie, that you would like to just share?
Yeah, let me add one more to that. And I think I kind of said it in passing, but codependency. And
Okay.
codependency is huge. And we see that often. You talk about childhood, and so a lot of times it's when young children and or adolescents are kind of parenticized, right? They take on a parent role for whatever reason. So parent could be ill, parent could be have drug use, or just not very present. So that child takes on this role. And oftentimes, Michelle, it is so that they can feel loved. It's that they do it for approval. And
Okay.
so, codependency is huge. And they latch on to relationships very quickly. And so, oftentimes, if you are in a codependent relationship, it almost is like a mirror. It might mean that you have some codependency traits and characteristics as well. And so, I believe that a healthy relationship starts with you, starts with the relationship you have with yourself. And those things that you want from a relationship should be those things that you possess yourself. If you want somebody who really is kind to you, then you need to be kind to yourself. If you want someone who is considerate, then you should consider yourself. If you want someone who is goal oriented and productive and making a difference and an impact? Are you goal oriented, productive, and making an impact? Someone that's respectful? Are you respectful towards yourself? And so we can't expect people to come and do and be a certain way with us if we're not willing to do that. So if we do those things, I think we position ourselves to be healthier. And then if we're healthier, we recognize those relationships that are not unhealthy.
That's amazing. Amazing advice, Nettie. Thank you. Can you tell us how to get your book? And that's The Girlfriend Therapist. And also tell us how we can connect with you on social media.
Yeah, so the Girlfriend's Therapist Handbook, Owning Your Truth, Transforming Your Life, can be purchased on the website, which is the Girlfriend's Therapist Handbook.com. And then also it's on Amazon, Michelle. But if you go to the website, I can autograph it for you and send it out to you. Unfortunately, if Amazon's sending it, I can't sign it. And so how to follow me on social media platforms. So Instagram is Nettie Jones TGT. So that's Nettie Jones Jones TGT. Facebook is Nettie Jones. LinkedIn Nettie Jones. My website is nettiejones.com. So all
Thank
things
you.
Nettie Jones.
And Nettie Jones, are the cards that you showed me, are they for sale?
Yes, they are. And you can purchase those on my website, nettiejones.com. Or you can also go through the website to get the book. Go to
Okay.
the
That would be the
store.
best. Go through the website to get the book because
Yep.
that's directly to you, right?
There you go. And that's nettiejones.com. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for just being a part of Noteworthy Chatter, talking about things that matter. and things that are important, not only, to us personally, but to our community. And I really appreciate you being here.
Michelle, this is right up my alley, and thank you. I feel so blessed to have come and have this conversation with you. And I love the podcast. This is awesome.
Thank you so
I'm so
much.
proud of you.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for being here.